Hey, Catherine here. This is video number 12, the chemo number 2 surprise. After chemo with Taxotere and Cytoxin, I got the Neulasta shot the next day. My cousin Dolly and her significant other, John, were here for my chemo number 2, and it was really lovely because they took very, very great care of us. John cooked with Dolly every day, and I learned that John is a bit of a gourmet cook. They were here for half a week and they took me to chemo, they took me to the shot, and they shopped, they cooked. It was really, really wonderful of them. It was fun. My son loves them. Thank you, Dolly and John. I think I said last time that my hair was falling out so much. I shaved it. Here are a few of the options that I looked into. I wanted to try like scarves and hats. I found that I really couldn't wear wigs. It itched the heck out of my scalp, so that did not work well. But I'll show you my favorite wig. I actually got a wig. I'm planning to submit it and everything, even though Anthem is probably gonna fight me, but hey, you know, more paperwork for them. Everything seems to be going according plans until day 10 from chemo number 2. Then hives just broke loose like nobody's business. I haven't had that since college when my first experience with alcohol, and I remember it was tequila. We played some game named Mexicali or something like that. It was really stupid. I don't even know how many shots of tequila I had. I can tell you that the next day I had these really thick hives all over my body for about 3 months. It was itchy as anything until you scratch it, and then it was really, really painful. First I thought it was food poisoning. I had tried this new restaurant because I was feeling so good. I just tried to manage these hives, figured that the food will wear itself off in 24, 48, 72 hours and it should be gone. Then in just 1 or 2 days, the wells of these hives got more swollen and more itchy and more painful, just like those ethanol ones. Ethanol is the alcohol that we drink. It got to the point where I can't help but scratch it, so it created a lot of bruising. So this quickly became a full-time job. I mean, like every second I had to do something, like put cream on, take a bath, ice it, all kinds of stuff. It got to the point it was so insanely itchy that even Benadryl would not help it at all. One of my friends, Maury, had called to see how I was doing, and I told her about this. She basically Googled hives and chemo. It seems that I'm not the only one that gets hives from the chemo. They even have a name for it. It's called urticaria. Even when the women tried the identical treatment, the results were still different. Well, it makes sense because all of our bodies are very different. I also went in to see my oncologist at some point because over the course of the next week or 2, we were trying to figure out a way to keep my hives down so that it's tolerable. It was really driving me crazy to the point where I couldn't sleep, and the only time I would sleep is from total exhaustion. I'm really thankful that my oncologist has the mindset of a researcher. She and I worked together. We tried different things. We experimented because everybody's body's different. There's over 50 to 100 side effects possible for different kinds of chemos. Obviously, none of us have all of these side effects. All of us have a few or more of these side effects. A friend had said, and I think this is right, every chemo infusion brings its own little death and then you're reborn. My oncologist thought it was most likely the ethanol, the solvent for the chemo drug Taxotere that is giving me the hives. I was told that the reason they went with Taxotere anyway is because many people have allergies to ethanol, alcohol, and some have severe allergies like me, but most of them do not get hives because Taxotere as the chemo drug kind of overrides everything. Few that do are usually controlled very well by the meds that I had. I was a different case. These 20 women online that had complained about these hives as severely as I did, there's only a few of us. However, I still find it really surprising that they can't just take Taxotere and have just a different non-alcoholic solvent just to bypass the whole thing. And I'm sure it's because monetary from the pharmaceutical company perspective, but how difficult would that be? I just wonder. So after a couple of weeks, we finally figured out a way to to make these hives manageable. But we decided to postpone chemo number 3 because in lieu of the new information about the Taxotere, my oncologist thought that if it gave me this bad a hive this time, the next time if we try it and it is the ethanol, then I might go into anaphylactical shock. I know I'm saying that word wrong, but my brain is on half-mast reminders. We ended up postponing it twice because every time we get it to the point where I think, oh, it's almost going away, and then it comes back. That happened a few times. It does resemble the ethanol from college because that was there for 3 months, and I was praying that it wouldn't, because now I had all kinds of meds. I had like 5 different medications. One time I had gone to the ER and the doctor gave me more meds. I'm on a lot of steroids, and they were starting to worry about the dosing because it was so much of it to get the hives down. Due to this urticaria, yet another gift of chemo. This time it's chemo number 2. This is the surprise, urticaria. Because of this, my oncologist is changing the chemo to this new regimen, AC. The A is for Adriamycin, and Cytoxan was the same as before. I have done the TC, Taxotere, and Cytoxan 2 times. I'm going to do the AC regimen 4 times. It's still 6 times in total, but the new regimen with the AC is every other week. With the delay and then the shortening of the in-between times, I'll probably end up finishing about approximately the same time, or maybe a week or 2 shorter. With the new drug, Adriamycin, there are 2 small percentage risks that might be permanent. One is heart issues, the other is bone marrow cancer. The first one, they're gonna monitor my heart and check it for a few years, and same thing with the bone marrow. They're gonna do my blood test for a number of years. So I checked the heart seems to be okay. Decided to go ahead then with the AC, and I started last Tuesday, which was May. I can't believe I forgot. I'm telling you, my brain is so fried. I'm calling that chemo 1B. So it's the first time for the second one, even though it's a total tally of third one. After 1B, less than 2 hours after I got home from the first one, I was down for the count. 3 days, major nausea, and I cannot even look at food. I barely can take the liquids down. My husband and my son keeps nagging me for the liquid, which is probably why I wasn't super dehydrated. I basically crawled into my dark bedroom. Did not join the world for like 3 days. I ate nothing. It just couldn't do it. My husband picked up some drugs for me from the oncologist's office. They worked really well. They're called Eman. So they're gonna have that ready for me next time before. It was progressively getting better finally. At one point, my hives came back a little stronger. I think it's because I was so out of it, I missed medication for 1 or 2 days. I don't even know. It's terrible. And I have like a chart, but I didn't mark it. To counter these roller coaster rides that I'm on, both emotionally and physically and mentally, I found Qigong. It is the ancient Chinese art for restoring health and prolonging life. To promote long-term health and fitness, it's a healing technique. I went to one session. I talked to the master who was teaching it, and he had said it's about accepting everything into your surrounding. Whatever it is, noise that you don't want to listen, but it's okay. You accept it. It is supposed to be there. So very zen-ish. I'm working on it. And the other thing that I really liked was in a magazine called Mindful Magazine. It's a way to handle life in a very positive, calm, accepting way. Everything in my life seems to be pointing in that direction, so I'm going to take that as a hint. I started reading this. It does make sense. Feeling overwhelmed? Remember RAIN. R-A-I-N. R is for recognize what's going on. A is for allow the experience to be there just as it is, meaning no judgment. I stands for investigate with kindness. Why you are feeling the way you are without judgment, and maybe with kindness. N is natural awareness, which comes from not identifying with the experience. It's very beautiful. Look up mindful.org. It's within their Mindful magazine. I've been using this Mindful RAIN while I'm driving. I've gotten to the I part, the N, the natural awareness part. I'm still working on that, but give me time.